Page 275, this Solfeggio, however you want to pronounce it, in C minor is a very famous piece by one of the Bach sons. It's not by J.S. Bach, it's by one of his sons. And you'll see that it's made up basically of 16th notes going crazy and a whole lot of broken chords and runs. So if you're doing the scales and arpeggios, piece of cake, more or less. A solfeggio, you can look it up. Now, because a lot of this is one hand or the other, I'm going to go ahead and take both hands at the same time because normally I just take one hand at a time. So first I look it over. I see it's 3 pages long, so we're going to have to deal with a page turn. We'll talk about that later. Treble and bass clef to start. 3 flats in the key signatures, also in the title, C minor. Okay, so do the scales and arpeggios for E flat major and C minor. You got, okay. And if you're doing diminished 7th, do the diminished 7th starting on C, because this diminished 7th normally goes with the minor. Typically they're used with that, so we just use it that way. Do it any way your teacher tells you to do it. That's how I do it. 4/4 time signature and 16th notes going nuts. Well, if that's the case, then I can pretend this time signature is anything I want it to be, as long as I keep the 16th note steady. I can take these 16th notes as quarter notes to begin with if I want to. See, it's just like a 16. Does that make sense? Where there's 16 beats in a measure, but 16th note gets a count. They want right hand first. There's a little RH above it, but the fact that stem goes up is enough to tell you, do it with the right hand. Otherwise, there's no reason why they couldn't have beamed all 4 of those first 16th notes together. But it's here, and again, I'm going to connect everything. Here, and then here, broken chord. Right hand comes up. The left hand comes up. You're moving a hand while you're playing the other one. And here. Now it's just a scale. You think, what scale is that? Well, I don't care, and I don't. As long as you can do the scales, it doesn't matter. Just play them. It just feels like a C major scale on that part. And then we get to B flat. And this whole thing is kind of doing that until we get to measure 9. Now the broken chords are this way. It's a 4th here, because that's the chord and that's the fingering. Use 4th, not 3. Some teacher would teach 3, I don't. And the right hand comes up, left hand goes down, left hand, right hand comes. And you don't want to do this, you can do this. If you want to stay out here, that's fine, whichever. They say 3, I'd still use 4 there. But you can use 3 if you want to. And all we're doing, and then measure 7 was just back and forth. Watch out on the accidentals. Remember, they're good from that point on for the rest of the measure and that staff. But we're only using 1 staff. So on the measure 7, that A natural, good for the rest of the measure. The G sharp, good for the rest of the measure. Until you get to the natural. And on measure 8, at the end, I use 4 here. 4 again here, 4 or 5, either one, doesn't matter, because you're done. They use 3, I would not use 3 there, I'd use 4 there. I use 5 there, and you do it again. Get the idea of what we're doing? That takes us over to around measure 14 when we could do something else different. Now it's like a tremolo an octave apart. I'm rotating here. So one hand is on top because this has a black key. I'm going to put it on top. And then here. And at the end of measure 14, as I'm playing this, I got to get the left hand down because now it's bass clef. Because we had treble clef in that measure. And hold that down there, quarter notes. So I'm looking ahead to see where I need to go because I figure I'm going to have to move. And this way I'm ready. Treble clef, and then bass clef. except for measure 30, that's pretty much it. And measure 30, we just get the here. Hold that. You can do it 1, 2, 4 if you want to. This is just the different versions of this art. And then you got 1/16th note to get that up there, going between measures 30 and 31. Here, so again, measure 30, you're here. Hold this down if you can until you play that. It comes up right there. And then you got to be right there too. Like so, again. It's rather repetitious as far as once you get the hang of this broken chord and moving the hands and everything else at the same time, it's a piece of cake. Huh? Now I'm taking it pretty fast. You take it really, really, really slow. However slow you got to go, use a metronome if you have to. Just get rid of any hesitations. The only hesitation you should have right now is when you have to stop to turn the page. And we'll deal with that a little later. After I get rid of the hesitations, then I can think about the articulation. And here, as with a lot of Bach music, they didn't give any in it. So how do you feel it? Normally you would connect these. However, it was common with the Bach is they don't start the phrase on the first beat. They'll start it either before or after. So it's like that first note could be a staccato and the phrase starts here. So it's a now. So that it's like the phrases are starting there, but it's got to be even, so your silence got to be very, very short. Because of that, and because it's presto, we would normally just connect it. Now when you get over to like measure 14, you do get staccatos. There's your short staccato. Just maybe measure 15 is not. It's a contrast. And there's more staccatos on the next page too, but that's basically the articulation. Now there is one little ornament in this piece. There could be more because it was, I mean, it's not surprising when people play this style of music, they add ornaments. Back in the time, you were more or less expected to, although the composers around this time when this composer lived started adding them in themselves. In fact, J.S. Bach added them in. But if you look at the top of page 277, measure 25, at the end, they give a D, but above it, they give this little thingy. Well, that's spelling out the ornament for you. It's telling you what the notes are. It's a trill here. The trill, remember, is 2 notes. And we start on the upper note. Now, we don't have time to trill very much. We're just doing this. But I like to use at least 3 fingers, not just 2. Some people will just use 2. And it depends on. I find that easier than having I can do it 2, 3, 2, 1. Or 3, 1, 3, 2. I guess I'm using 3rd finger now. You should be able to do either one because in other music you may get something like this, and it kind of depends on what comes after. Here, we got to rest, and we got to come down here anyway. It doesn't really matter, except I'm going to use thumb. Maybe I don't want to end it on a thumb. Maybe I want to do this. In that case, I'm going to finger that a 3, 1, 3, 2. That way my thumb is ready. Here. So that measure, I'll measure what, 25? And then it's just done very quickly. Now, yes, you can do it rhythmically, and I do all my trills rhythmically anyway. That is, they have a certain number of notes in them over a certain given time period. And they've written it out for you. Just don't make them 16th or 32nd notes. Or 16th note. That's a... That, no. That's something different. This has to be quick, and you're just holding on to the other note at the end to fill out the rest of the time. We finished our what we had to do. Now we're waiting for the beat to get over. Now we can go on. That's all it is. To do that fairly quickly. And I'm still transferring weight here. It's just, I can do that very quickly. It's just, I do it as quickly as I can wiggle the fingers. Now the dynamics. Well, again, the composer, I don't know that he did these dynamics, but we'll pretend, okay, we're loud, whatever you think loud is. It's serious. And then measure 4, you're going to come down to soft. So you're starting measure 4 loud. And it's almost like a beat at a time, you're just getting a little softer. Now we're soft. And measure 8, you're going to go back up to loud. So start measure 8 soft, soft, louder, louder. Now we're loud. Yeah, so you kind of plan out your crescendos and diminuendos and save most of the change toward the end of it, where it kind of gets in there or it dies away. Now on measure 13, you're still loud here. Now we're soft. All of a sudden, loud, soft, loud. Yeah. So those are terrace dynamics, or just all of a sudden you're switching. Very common back here. Beethoven liked using terrace dynamics. When done well, it's an effect. If you're done poorly, it just sounds like you don't know what you're doing. We get the same thing over on the next page where you're loud and then suddenly soft. And then loud and then suddenly soft. And then the speed. Well, presto. Good luck with presto. Again, it's not necessarily the speed of the beat. It's the overall feel of the piece. And presto is fast. For advanced players, presto is almost as fast as you can play, because there is a prestissimo, which is super duper fast. And, fasten your seatbelt, we're going to outer space. This is fast. Now, for a level of student, most people going through this book, presto is probably about as fast as you can play. But in my opinion, you need to be accurate, and these need to be even. It sounds fast anyway because it's all 16th notes. If you take the speed of the beat, it's not. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's an andante. But when you add the 16th notes in it, it's just, now if you try and speed that up a little bit, then you start missing notes and doing. And it's no longer even, it's kind of, leave that to the pros. Let them do that. So you get an idea of the speed. It's going to have to be your presto. Just make sure these 16th notes are running along pretty nice. You don't go. That's not a presto. I mean, that's a good speed for practicing, but it's not a presto, because as you're practicing this, you can also do like we do in the scale videos and so forth. One note per accent. Drop the wrist on each one. And then you speed it up, maybe every 2 notes. You accent and drop the wrist. And then even though it doesn't work out real well, try 3 notes per beat and see if you can keep up. It doesn't work out real well because of the way it's written, but it's good practice if you can actually get that kind of control where you can do every third beat anyway. Go slow. Go. Like so. Yeah. It probably takes about 3 measures to come out even again, where in the 4th measure you'd be back to that feeling again. Then go 4. That feeling, and try 8. You do once per measure. it's and then try every 2 beats, twice per measure, here and here, there. There, and if you go really lickety split, do it 1 beat or 1 beat per measure. Forget that. But it's good practice. It keeps you going slow, and it will help to smooth out and even out these 16-note runs on here. You're feeling these natural accents anyway. 1, 2, because each beat gets a slight natural accent. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. This 1 and 3 is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Good practice to keep these smooth and even. Okay, now let's deal with this page turn. There are options in dealing with page turns. And when we have to, we practice page turns. Because you don't mess up the beat because you're turning the page. Please don't. We got to get the page turned and let the music go on. If somebody were not watching or listening to, they wouldn't even realize that you turned the page. What are the options? Well, the first option is always the best option, and that is simply memorize the piece. That really is the best option. If you don't do that, then maybe at least memorize the first page. That way you don't have to deal with it there too, and there's not nearly as much to memorize there. If you don't want to do that, then maybe there's somebody there who can turn the page for you, and then they can take care of it, assuming they don't screw it up. I've done that before. Another option is there a part of one of the other pages that is the same as the music in this page? So is there any part where on pages 276 and 277 where the music is identical to page 275? And the answer is no, there isn't. I mean, the end of it page 277 is similar to the beginning of this, but it's not the whole page. Because if there is, then you can just turn the page and read that portion of those pages that's identical to this, and then jump up and read the rest of it. You're kind of moving around, but at least you don't have to turn the page. So, can't do that. Is there any time where one hand isn't playing? Because that way you have time to turn the page. And here there is. At the bottom, measure 10. Here. There. All that. The left hand didn't do anything. So while the right hand's doing this, you're turning this. And this is where we practice. You got to be able to make these two motions at the same time without messing up this. It's got to stay even. So you might have to practice this page turn while you're playing this. Okay. And that's what I'd recommend here. We have to take each of these situations one at a time because all kinds of other problems creep up. Now, when we do the play with me, I can't do that. That music's too far away. I can't reach it. So we'll do that different, but I'll explain that there. Now, on a lot of these, I demo these so you get an idea what it sounds like. It's just an idea is all it is. But when we get something like this, this is standard. This is not an arrangement. This is the way it's written. Although I don't know about the dynamics and all that. But the notes and all, this is the way it is. I'll let you go to Google or somewhere or YouTube or, I don't know, Spotify somewhere, and you can listen to recordings of this. But listen to several. Don't just listen to one or two because they will play it different. Some will play it a lot faster than others. They'll do the dynamics different. They'll play it differently. And you get ideas on interpretation that way. So no, I'm not going to bother. I mean, this video is long enough already. I've already bored me. I'm sure you're bored too. Let's play this together very slowly and check the notes. The rhythm shouldn't be a problem. They're all 16th notes. I'll give us 4 quarter note counts to come in. I'm going to put the metronome on 8th notes. But I'm going to give us 4 quarter notes to come in. It's 1 and 2 and ready and go and then we go. Now when we get to the bottom of page 275, I'm going to stop. I'm going to turn the page. I'm going to count us in again, another 4 quarter notes, and then we're going to play the rest of it. So it's 1 E and da. So look here. 1 E and 2 E and that. That's how fast we're going to go. But I'm going to give us 4 quarter notes to come in. Now, we'll figure it out. Just come in when I do. 1 and 2 and ready and go E and stop and turn the page. 1 and 2 and ready and go E and and 1 and 2 and